Hello and welcome to the table. I'm your host, Teen Wolf, and today we are going to be talking about Commander. Me and my dad have been looking forward to Baldur's Gate coming out for some time now, even though we're not Commander players. And for all of you out there that don't know what Commander is, this video is going to be teaching you how to play Commander. I'm not going to teach you every single rule about Commander because that would take way too long, but I will teach you the basics and I will give you some tips and tricks to be a better Commander player. They may not be the best tricks, but I like them. So, with that aside, for all of you new to Commander, let's dive right on in to what is Commander. So, Commander, it's a complicated format. And as I said, I don't play Commander that much, but I do know the basics. So, you start off a game of Commander with 40 life. And the main reason for that is, one, most games of Commander are going to have 4 players in the game, which means a lot more damage is going to be dealt over the course of the game, so the life total needs to go up a little bit so that the games can last longer. Also because of the fact that Commander decks are really combo-y. They combo off a lot. So, you're going to want to have high life totals so the game doesn't end in, like, 6 minutes. I don't know, I just threw out a random number. So, in a Commander deck, you have 100 cards, including your Commander. It's your Commander. Your Commander is a card that you can play anytime during your turn, as long as you have the mana to do so. So, you don't have to draw it in order to be able to play it. And your Commander, most of the time, is going to basically, like, say what the deck is going to do. What is this deck's plan? And your Commander is going to help you succeed in fulfilling that plan. And there are a couple things that kind of dictate what can be your Commander. Your Commander has to be a legendary creature, which sucks, but there are still a lot of really powerful legendary creatures in Magic the Gathering. However, there are certain ways to get around this, if you will. There are certain cards in Magic the Gathering that say, this card can be your Commander. Like certain Planeswalkers that were printed in Commander Legends, or even Baldur's Gate. And then there are some mechanics that allow you to have a second Commander that may not be a legendary creature. In Baldur's Gate, there's a new mechanic called Choose a Background, which means that if you have a legendary creature as your Commander that says Choose a Background, you can have a second Commander, except that Commander is a legendary enchantment with the subtype of Background, which is pretty cool because it allows you to get more value without having to draw it. And going back to your deck, you can only have one copy of each card in your deck. except for basic lands, of course, because then that would just suck. However, all your non-basic lands, all the creatures, all the artifacts, all the enchantments, planeswalkers, etc., you can only have one copy of, which in ways makes Commander cheaper, but at the same time it's just like more frustrating, and you have to play more expensive cards to be able to like fuel your strategy more, and you have to have more cards that fulfill your strategy and allow it to actually happen. So, and there are other things that your commander dictates. For one, it dictates the colors of your deck. So, your commander, let's say you have just a legendary creature as your commander and you don't have something that says choose a background. That commander, let's say, is green, red, and blue. Your cards inside your deck can be those colors, but you can have no cards that are white or black in that deck, and you cannot produce white or black mana. Continuing the topic of your commander also, for every time that you've had to replay it, costs 2 additional mana to cast. So what I mean by that is, if your commander were to go into your graveyard and it goes back to your command zone, it costs you more mana. If it goes into exile, it costs you more mana. If it gets bounced back to your hand and then goes back to your command zone, it costs you more mana. But how does it go from those places back to the command zone? Well, anytime your commander is put from somewhere other than the battlefield, your graveyard, your hand, or exile, you may choose to put it back into its command zone, which is basically like the place where it stays until you choose to play it. However, if your commander were to be put into your hand, I would keep it in your hand, because the commander tax, which is the thing that basically makes your commander cost more for every time that you've had to replay it, is ignored. So it goes into your hand, no more commander tax. It's just like, you can cast it for its regular cost, not for like an additional 6 mana or something like that, which is cool. And yeah. So that kind of covers your commander, that covers the deck and how everything works, except one other quick thing. At the beginning of each game, even if you are the first person to go, every player draws a card on their first turn. So just one last note. Now, going on to some tips and tricks. In your commander deck, as I've said, the decks are very combo-y, so you're going to want to have tons of ways to be able to fuel the deck strategy. However, you're also going to want ways to get to that really, really fast. So, you're going to want tons of ways to ramp. And what I mean by that is playing artifacts that add mana to your mana pool, like Soul Ring, which you can tap to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool and it only costs 1 mana. That's a good card. But and then there are ways to basically say, I'm gonna go get a land from my deck and put it into play. Sometimes tapped, sometimes untapped, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So you're gonna want tons and tons and tons of ways to be able to get tons of mana out there really, really fast, so you can play tons of spells really, really quickly early on in the game to automatically get you ahead of your opponents. And also, sometimes it's going to be harder to do this, but I would try to, in every commander deck that you build, have a way to draw cards or get some kind of card advantage. Because in Commander, once you run out of cards in your hand, you have to have ways to still be able to do tons of stuff on your turn in order to stay in the game. Whether it's playing stuff from your graveyard, drawing tons of cards, or just like sacrificing creatures in order to get some kind of advantage that draws you cards or allows you to just play more cards. Because in Commander, if you stop playing cards, you are just going to lose. You always have to have something to play, which is hard to do, but in Commander there are tons of ways to draw cards and get card advantage, so you don't have to worry. And then lastly, the last trick that I'm going to tell all of you is, when playing Commander, you're always going to want a way to basically nuke the board. And what I mean by that is, there are points in every Commander game where the board state just gets really, really scary. And what I mean by that is, like, your opponents have tons of creatures in play that they can swing out with and just, like, kill someone. Or the person next to you has all these crazy artifacts or enchantments that allows them to basically have infinite cards. And, like, they never run out of cards in their hand, and they can always play stuff. You want to have a way to get rid of all of that. So, there are these beautiful things called board wipes. And what they do, sometimes they say destroy all creatures, sometimes they say destroy all artifacts or enchantments or multiple, or just basically destroy multiple of just destroy all of something. Sometimes it includes stuff on your board, sometimes it's just on your opponent's board, which I would try to do more of that, but most of the time it's going to be a little bit more costly in order to play a card like that. Which sucks, but to a point, you probably want to preserve your board. But if you have nothing out there, and it's like, okay, I just need to kill all the creatures on your opponent's board state, just spend a little bit of mana just to destroy all creatures. You probably don't have that many creatures out there anyways. And then you don't die. So it's worth it. And then, I know that I said that was going to be the last tip and trick. However, another thing that I want to tell all of you, you're also going to want tons of removal. You're going to want to have tons of ways to basically say, for cheap, like 2 mana or 3 mana, destroy target creature, exile target creature, especially exile. If you have a way to do so, exile. Exile is very important in Commander because the graveyard is used way too much in Commander. Trust me when I say that. But yeah, tons of removal, board wipes, card advantage, ramp. And also, you're going to want lands that can tap for multiple colors of mana. So get all the mana in the world. It's got to be expensive, but Commander's just that way. And I hope you all enjoyed this little introduction to Commander, how to play Commander, what is Commander, and some tips and tricks on Commander. And I cannot wait to see all of you in my Crack-a-Pack video. And have a nice day. I'm your host, Team Wolf. Please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time.